Welcome to the virtual cafe where we tell stories that slap from people who have been through the mud but never collapsed. Today I'm sitting down with Genesis Dominguez, an Afro-Latina from the Bronx, first generation graduate and the founder of Honey Beauty. She's also built an incredible career in tech, working inside Google, Microsoft, and Meta, proving that she can thrive in both the corporate world and in the entrepreneurial grind. What I really respect about Genesis is that she does it all unapologetically, because too often Latino professionals feel the need to downplay their roots in the space. But Genesis
Mhm.
wears hers with pride just by showing up as herself. And that's exactly why I'm excited to have her here today. So without further ado, let's jump into it. I'm going to start it off with a nice Bronx welcome with the yeah, what's good?
That's so funny. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. It's always like a good thing being able to connect. I feel like the Bronx is so big, but being able to connect with people that you never thought you would connect with, even though you're from the same place. So I'm really excited to connect with you, get to learn a little bit more about you, the podcast, and just share my story. So I'm excited.
For sure, for sure. Like I said, you're unapologetically Afro Latina, and you really don't see that in the LinkedIn space that often. I feel like the biggest Latino creators, I don't want to say that they don't represent like the right way, or downplay them, but it's clear that they not, you know what I'm saying? Maybe it's because we Dominican and we from the Bronx. We got a little bit of extra to us, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But tell me what your experience was like growing up in the Bronx as an Afro Latina.
Yeah, so basically, like, I mean, can it get more Dominican than this? So my mom was a teenage mother. She had me at like 18. So she was single, a teenage mom. So it was really hard for her just being able to provide. But she saw an opportunity in being a hairstylist. So ever since I can remember, like, I literally been in the salon since I was 5. So that's pretty much where I got my passion for beauty. But seeing the hard work that she went through, I definitely was always motivated to kind of go to school, get my education. And as you know, like being from the Bronx, a lot of people were always trying to doubt you. And for me, when I was smaller, I knew that I always wanted more, right? I didn't necessarily see it within my community, but just being able to be exposed to different people, different backgrounds, I knew that I was able to do it. Like if you could do it, I could definitely do it. So I definitely am very prideful, like being from the Bronx always, even though I was born in Queens. Like, I mean, I've been here since 5. Like what I look like repping Queens and not the Bronx, you know? And being Dominican, just because like having that Dominican hair salon culture, I feel like a lot of other women like me could relate. And it's a huge reason why I am the way that I am in trying to motivate others to be themselves authentically. But just kind of like being able to like push forward and teach our younger generation how to be themselves unapologetically, which is a little bit about what you have spoken about.
Yeah, for sure. Not you in the salons with the bonchinche though. Early, I already know you love bonchinche. I can tell.
That's hilarious. No, yo, literally like growing up in the salon culture, like you go through corporate America and you have to deal with all this stuff. But I feel like in that culture, you kind of build a thick skin,
Mhm.
especially being Afro Latina. Like, you know, when it comes to like our beauty standards in our community, like even though we look the way that we look, a lot of European beauty standards are idolized. And that's basically what we strive to look like,
Mhm.
even though that might be coming with perming our hair, bleaching our skin, and all of that. So, like, I definitely grew up within that culture, and it's not necessarily something that I saw was okay. I always felt why when I'm watching Univision and watching the like telenovelas, why nobody look and sounds like me.
Mm.
It was very slim to none. I never really saw representation within the Latin community of Afro Latinos. And then as I segmented into beauty, I definitely didn't see like representation of females who look like me. So I always try to put on for people who look like me, just because there needs to be more representation, because I feel like when I was younger, I didn't see it. So even for yourself, being able to be out there and share your story, I'm pretty sure that a lot of brown and Black kids could relate to us, and they see us where we're at right now. And it's like, okay, cool. Like if they did it, I could definitely do it as well.
Now, there is absolutely colorism within the Latino community. For the
For
viewers
sure.
who are watching who don't know, Like there's definitely colorism in the Latino. One of the things that I don't like is when I speak to somebody in Spanish and they speak back to me in English.
Literally.
And
They're, like, surprised, like, "Wait," like, even though I literally get that all the time, and
uh,
sometimes, like, it used to bother me before, but now, like, I just be chilling, like, and I'm so unapologetically myself that I'm just like, "Whatever," like, I just keep it pushing, but you notice, like, notice.
yeah, you notice things like that, right?
Yeah, I definitely experienced that. Like, even being like in the salon culture, like, I would always feel when they were talking about, like, right, we would watch like Miss Universal, right? And it was always, oh, like the lighter skinned girls are always prettier. Like the morenitas is like, oh, she's cute for a morenita. I'm like, what that means, right? So, like, for me, like, growing up, that's something that I peeped very early on, and it's funny because I'm a little bit lighter complected. My grandma and my mom are both dark skinned. So, like,
Mm,
growing up and me seeing that they think that lighter skin is more beautiful just because it's lighter, I've never understood that, right? But as I started getting older and I started to see how colorist the Dominican Republic is and how ingrained in our history that is, it's just
mhm.
like, oh, okay, like, I get it. This is more like of a trauma response. It's not like
Mm,
they was raised like black is beautiful. They was like, oh no, black is not beautiful. We're trying to wash that out and be more white. So that was very interesting because I could have easily like just kept going on that train, right? But like for me, being a first generation in America here and going into corporate, going to a predominantly white school, I was like, "Oh, I don't wanna be like y'all. I wanna be like me. Like, my skin is beautiful. I wanna be my natural self. I don't feel like I have to conform into, like, something else that I'm not," right? So, just experiencing that, like, within my own culture was really hard because it kinda goes into play of, like, my natural hair and
mm,
how in the beginning it was like, "Oh my god, your mom is a hairstylist. Why your hair looks like that? Like,
mhm,
get a perm. Your hair is too coarse, too kinky," right? So, that was really hard and trying to like even for myself it was like a journey for me to be like, okay, I'm beautiful, I feel comfortable in my own skin, I feel comfortable in my own hair. That's something that I didn't learn until I was in my 20s,
mhm,
and I wish that it wasn't like that. Since I was little, I always felt that way with and seeing that in my community, but it's something that it wasn't. So I definitely had to learn it on my own, but I'm proud that I went through that journey because that's how I'm able to just be like, okay, this is me and I'm gonna stay me with even if that's in corporate America, however it might be, because I know that people could relate to my story and I don't need to be somebody else to be able to create impact.
nope. You know what's so crazy is that my Dominican side is actually se ve con gringos. Like
Yeah, yeah.
my Puerto Rican side is the one that's really dark. So like my Puerto Rican side is super Afrocentric.
Mm-hmm.
Like my grandmother, she black. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Black.
yeah.
Like and they're super Afrocentric. You know what's one thing I noticed about um all s- all Hispanic music though? One
Mm-hmm.
thing that I noticed is you can't make any type of Spanish music
Yep.
without congas.
Yep.
Like you can't make without any African percussion, it's
Mhm.
impossible to make the sound Hispanic. Isn't that
Yeah.
crazy?
Yeah, that's crazy. It's funny that you tie that in into music, right? Because even for me, like being able to see the connection with the food as well. Like
Mhm.
I'm mad Dominican. I'm like, oh yeah, the plantains mango is Dominican. But when you really look into the history, it really like comes from Africa
Yeah.
and how they make it. And now how I'm like, oh wow, like all of this things tied together. And for me, having the experience that I have, even I love going to other Spanish speaking countries and visiting where the like predominantly black people are.
Mhm,
So when I went to Puerto Rico last time, I was trying to go to Ceiba,
mhm,
but I was learning a lot about like bomba and stuff like
mm.
that and how Afrocentric it is because I grew up in the Bronx, right? And back then, it used to be Puerto Rico. Everybody was Puerto Rican. It was cool to be Puerto Rican. So I grew up with a lot of Puerto Ricans, but like you're saying, they didn't look a lot like me me and you. They look
Yeah.
different. So I literally thought Puerto Ricans was only light skin.
Mm.
And as I started to grow up and get more exposure, I'm like, wait, like there's Puerto Ricans that look like me. There's Colombians that look like me,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I went to Colombia and I visited Palenque, which is where like the first Africans like landed, and I was able to be in that culture and learn about them and everything like that. That to me kind of is so interesting, being able to travel from place to place and seeing people who look like us, even though they're from like different places. So I think traveling for me is always interesting, and being able to connect with different people, even though we're from different places, but we kind of like look alike, have similar culture and everything like that. That's pretty dope.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nah, it's absolutely dope. I actually got a question for you. I'm gonna
Hmm.
start asking this for all, whenever I get Latinos in here. I'm curious, so I'm gonna start asking this. If you were on a abandoned island, right?
Hmm.
Why are you laughing already?
Because I'm like, ooh, where we going with this
If
one?
you were on an abandoned island and you can have one genre of music and every artist from this genre, what would it be? Salsa, bachata, merengue, and we'll throw reggaeton in there too.
Yeah, you can't throw reggaeton in there though.
No, we'll say reggaeton out. That's
I'm gonna do salsa.
salsa. Oh, okay. I would do salsa too.
Yeah, I grew up. My mom is from the Santo Domingo area, and she grew up like literally salsa, salsa, like every day. I
Yeah.
love it. Like before, I'm like, man, mom, you don't listen to something else. But now, like as I gotten older, like I have a passion for it. Like I like bachata. Don't get me wrong, but salsa for me is just like more movement, more
Yeah.
upbeat, and I love it.
I'm a fake salsero though. I'm not gonna hold you. So
Oh, so you dance? You dance salsa?
come on. My
Nah, you need to bother my mom because ain't nobody nicer than my
nah,
mom. Like she
I already
see me
know.
in like Instagram and you see her dancing and everything. And it's so funny because I know a little bit or whatever, but I recently had a salsa class, but it was taught by somebody. And I'm like, wait, this is not the salsa my mom dances. And I
Exactly.
realized that my mom dances more like street salsa
Mm-hmm.
than like salsa that's taught in a dance studio.
Street salsa, honestly, I prefer street salsa to salsa in the studio, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hold you. I've seen some salseros. My dad is a DJ, and he's done since I was a kid. He's done bachata, merengue, but salsa, like he don't play about salsa. Like
It hits, it hits.
let me tell you, like my encyclopedia for salsa songs is crazy. Like
That's so
you know,
funny.
but yeah, nah, that's super dope. So take me through your journey, right? So so you went to Sienna College. What other
Mhm.
college did you go to? You went to a college back home as well, right?
So it's interesting because when I went to Siena, I ended up going to a high school here in the Bronx called Bronx Center for Science and Mathematics, like on Fulton by like 167. And then from there, actually from my high school is really where I was exposed to like going to college. When I went to high school, like going to college, I wouldn't necessarily say it wasn't something that I thought about. It wasn't really spoken about in my household, to be completely honest. So getting that exposure in high school was amazing because then I was like, okay, now from this, my next step is going to college. So I ended up going to Sienna College, and where it was predominantly white, I had a real hard time. Like I still to this point never adjusted like socially and culturally there. One less than 1% was like minorities, and that minority includes Black, Spanish, Asian, all in that 1%. So it was really hard to adapt. And a lot of people, I decided to study abroad, and a lot of people would go to Europe. But I'm like, I don't want to go to Europe. I ended up actually studying abroad in the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
So because my mom had me at a young age, so it's not like I had that experience where a lot of people in the summertime would go back home. Like my mom didn't have bread to send me to DR for a whole month. Like I was here with my mom going to work. So I always like, yes, I'm like super Dominican. I was born in that, like I was raised in that salon culture, but I was never able to get those summers. So for me, I wanted to go back and connect with my motherland. So I did that my junior year.
Mhm.
So I was there like for like 3 to 4 months, fully Dominican, fully immersed. fully loving it. Like, I was like, wow, this is the best experience that I could have gotten. Like, literally, like being able to learn a lot about the history, the culture, the dynamic of what's going on the island. I ended up going to a school called Intake, which was in Santo Domingo, and then I forget the name of the other school, but it was a school full of monks. So that was an interesting experience being able to go to those different schools, right? Because one was private and tech and like tech heavy, and a lot of the kids who went there like were not even Dominican; they were like Asian people because those are the CEOs of a lot of companies in the Dominican
Mm.
Republic. So there were like a lot of foreigners going there, and I was immersed into that college, but I was also immersed into this school that was a little bit more religion heavy. A lot of the kids that went there were from like, the rough parts of the Dominican Republic, but they were so nice and they were like so like welcoming into the school where I didn't necessarily feel that in the other school. So it was just interesting getting both exposures and the best experience that I had in college, hands down. And then the other experience would be when I went to Brazil and I was able to immerse into like a college experience there for like 2 weeks. That was pretty cool and dope as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's what's up. Um, and so then after that, you end up in Google.
So actually, I went to Sienna College. I got a finance degree. I graduated, right? So it was really hard for me to find a job in finance because a lot of the kids who had those jobs were pretty much kids here in the city who already been interning since like their freshman year. And I didn't necessarily have that advantage because it's like I was going to school all the way upstate and then having to come back to the city for the summertime. So by the time that I was trying to apply to those internships, there were a lot of them would be taken up. So I didn't necessarily have the finance internships, but I had that degree. So as I was interviewing, I started to notice that nobody looked like me. Nobody sounded like me within the finance industry. And I was just really contemplating, like, I'm like, do I really want to go into finance or not? I had an interesting experience where I was given an offer and then the offer was rescinded, so it was taken back because I
Oh.
ended up like trying to negotiate the salary, right? Because I worked at the Empire State Building every summer when I came back from college, and I was making bread like
Mhm.
literally in high school. And then I ended up graduating with a college degree, and I was getting offered less money than what I was making before, and I'm like, wait, this doesn't make sense. And that's when I was trying to like negotiate and ask. And literally, they never responded. They just took the offer back. So I was like, at the beginning, I was like really heartbroken because I was like, wait, did I did something wrong? Like, what's going on here? But I feel like, things are meant to be because when I was going through that experience, a recruiter had reached out to me. They were actually looking for a different Genesis, but she ended up liking I had a picture. So she was like, oh, I want to connect with this Genesis. So she connected with me and she was telling me a little bit about like what a recruiter does, like what it is. And when she told me like like it's commission based and you could kind of and you don't get like maxed out, like the more people you have working, the more money you'll get. And I was like, what? That sounds lit to me. And I was
Yeah.
like, the salary was already more than what these finance companies were offering. So for me, it was like, okay, like, yeah, like this makes sense. I ended up interviewing for a company named Tech Systems, which is a technical agency. And that's where I started my career. And it was really good because it was able to give me a great foundation in terms of like being a full cycle recruiter and what that looks like. With that experience, I was able to then go into Google. And the reason why I had left the first company was because nobody in leadership looked like me or sounded like me. And I felt like they wasn't valuing my work. So I was like, I'm out of here. And then that's when I ended up at Google. And from there, I just kind of been like from one tech company to the other.
Yeah, yeah, that's what's up. How did that feel though once you signed that Google offer letter? Being a Dominican girl from the Bronx, like how did that feel?
Yeah. So honestly, it felt amazing because like when So, you got to get it how you can. So I actually interviewed for Google like 4 times. And like the first few times it was like, oh, like, no, you're not a fit. We're looking for somebody who has XYZ experience. But I'm from the Bronx, so knowing never gonna stop nobody. So I kept on applying and applying until I finally got an offer. And the lady who interviewed me was a Black lady from Pittsburgh. She ended up loving me, giving me an offer. And still to this day, she's the best manager that I have had, not because she was Black, but because she was so understanding. Like, how a lot of managers nowadays like think that work is supposed to be your life. She understood that work is work and then you have an outside life.
Hmm.
And I was able to relate to that so much, in addition to the fact that her whole team was basically moms. And that's not necessarily something that I saw in my last company, which is why I had left. Like, there was no work-life balance. It was either like you choose motherhood or you choose your career at my other company. And I wanted both.
Yeah.
So when I saw that I really couldn't have both, that's when I saw myself looking for other companies. And then when I landed at Google and I landed on that team with that manager, that was the best thing that could have happened for my career at that point. But then, COVID came and then companies started to do layoffs and stuff like that. So after like 2 years, that's when I had ended my time at Google. But my experience there was top one.
Okay. All right. And honestly, that layoff wave is really, it really created a lot of entrepreneurs. And so I'm curious, is that
Yeah.
same thing that happened with you? Like, is that why you started your business?
Yeah, so like you're saying, like COVID happened. I was actually there as I was given an offer, but I was there as a contractor. So after my 2 years, like I was looking at getting full-time offer, but because COVID happened, they weren't hiring at all. So since I was on a contract and it was my end of my 2 years, they were like that was pretty much the end of my time, unfortunately, and they wasn't able to extend me because of COVID. So I saw myself unemployed for the first time. During that time, Black Lives Matter was also happening, the whole George Floyd, COVID. There was a lot going on. So I was thinking, like, what do I want my legacy to be? Do I want to be known for? What do I want to leave behind? And during that time, I was also attending a lot of webinars. There was a lot of webinars going on for like Shopify, how to like sell your own t-shirts or whatever, right? Because I saw myself unemployed. I'm like, okay, I got to get to the bag. So if I don't get a job now, I got to figure out how to do something, right?
Hmm.
And I had some money saved up. I always wanted a salon, but a salon is a brick and mortar and that's very expensive. So I didn't have that money, but I did have some savings. So in my head I was like, okay, like what do I do? I was thinking and thinking, and during that time I was fake an influencer for natural hair. So I always saw myself like advertising and marketing a lot of other people's products, and then I'm like, wait, but like yo soy una hija de una salonera. So, like, why
Oh.
can't I have my own products? Like, this makes sense. Like, this is what I'm known for. People are coming to me from my community trying to ask me, like, how do I get my hair like this and stuff like that. So, when I had experienced that, it just kind of clicked. And I'm like, wait, I could have my own hair care brand. So, during COVID, when I was on unemployment, that's when I had thought about, like, the brand. I had invested into a boot camp into, like, how to teach me how to build a beauty brand. And literally since then, that's when I thought about Honey Beauty. And from there, that's how I thought about the brand and how it's been growing and everything like that, and how I thought about the idea.
You want to know something? I'm highly entrepreneurial myself. You know how we is. Like, we got to get it out the mud. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I've done DoorDash and Uber Eats and this and
yeah,
that while trying to. I have my own moving business. Like, I feel you.
yeah.
The issue with our community
Mhm,
is that a lot of the times we choose service-based businesses instead of product-based businesses.
mhm,
Service-based businesses are more difficult to scale because there's a lot more overhead and there's a lot more things you can't control. But the
right.
issue is we're taught how to make money with our hands.
Mhm,
You understand? So that's why you see a lot of Latinos with landscaping businesses, moving
mhm,
businesses, salons, barbershops, because we're taught that if we're not making money using our hands, we're like, it's almost like ingrained into us that we didn't
mhm.
earn our money because we're not using our hands.
Yeah, but it's funny that you say that because, like, even the fact that I have a corporate job, right? I'm on a desk. My mom was like, "What you mean you tired?" Like, I'm like, like mentally, like, imagine having to speak to multiple people, like having to deal with multiple personalities. You don't know what it's like being in corporate America and all the microaggressions that you got to deal with, and having to like professionally, get and navigate through certain situations when, salon business, probably curse somebody out. Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
not necessarily something
Vete
that
pa'
we
carajo, you know?
yeah, exactly. That's not necessarily something that we could do like in corporate America. You got to learn how to be professional according to them and stuff like that. So it's funny that you say that because just thinking about that conversations that I've been having with my mom of like the work that I do and how stressful it could be because you're constantly on the computer, like all this screen time, dealing with all these personalities. She doesn't see it like as work because I'm not using my hands. And
Mhm.
that's the first thing that I thought about when I was looking at those webinars and people was like, you can make money, like 50, you can make money while you're sleeping. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Like,
Yeah.
like people literally buy off your site 12, 1 a.m. and what I'm doing, sleeping. So for me, it was always important. Like when I had thought about my business, for it to be something that I could do, like while I'm traveling the world, because that to me is like amazing. Like if I could make money and I could be in DR, if I could be here, if I could be there and still be making money, that's exactly what I want to do. Because in corporate America, like now you get remote, but you're kind of pretty much tied to your desk 24/7.
Mhm.
So if I'm able to free up my time, that is going to be amazing because for me, financial freedom has always been important. And as I've been building up a family, I've noticed the more that I could free my time, like the better.
Yeah. Yeah, and, and especially when you on that entrepreneurial route, because like I said, like we're taught that like time is money, and that's just false. Like value is money. That's why a surgeon can make so much money in an hour. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like that's why a surgeon makes way more money in an hour than a janitor, is because the level of value that they offer. Right.
For
And so I think it's so important for our community to understand that, because making money is not supposed to be hard. Like every dollar, like that's the one thing I learned, right? Like every dollar is a seed. Every dollar
Yeah.
is a seed. So I mean, you see it. You see the Mexicanas. They be they the hardest hustlers in New
Yeah.
York. I'm not gonna hold you. They be having the fruit with their baby tied to them, and you know what I'm saying, like they don't play. And you learn that like every dollar is a seed. So with $1 you can make $1,000, but that requires like faith and understanding of the way like
Yeah.
money's supposed to work, and we're just not taught that.
Yeah. It's funny because I was having a conversation with somebody else as well. Is a lack of education within our community because we see a lot of like mom and pop stores now closing. Like, the Bronx is the last borough to get gentrified, but it's starting
They
and
can't do it. It's impossible to. Listen.
you been to Mount Haven, so bro?
I so bro, it's crazy.
Literally, like, all the mom and pop stores closing and stuff like that has been sad, but it's also like, some type of a lack of education because even when my mom ended up having a salon for a couple years and then she ended up having to close it because sometimes they think that all money is good money, right? But
Mhm.
like you're saying, like as you build more expertise, you have more value and you're able to give more. So they see as in like, okay, we don't want to lose a customer, but you rather lose a customer that's paying you $20 and acquire a new customer that knows your value and is
Mhm.
willing to give you $60 and you're working literally less and you're making more money and you don't got to deal with all the other headaches. But they don't get that. They don't understand that because they're not exposed to that.
Genesis, let me tell you something. Like my mentor put me on, and I live by it. If the price don't make you smile, it's too low.
No.
It's just too low.
Yeah, no,
You
for
feel what I'm
sure.
saying? Like, and
Yeah.
and and but that's what we're taught. We're taught to undercut our prices and to give homie
Hmm.
discounts and this and that. No, if the price don't make you smile, it's too low, because that's the reason why a lot of those mom and pop shops
Yeah.
that we end up owning go out of business, is because we're always trying to look out and give the homie discount, and
Yeah.
it's just not beneficial. And another thing is the lack of financial literacy, like you said, and My biggest issue when I was running my moving company personally was like not realizing that I couldn't use my business funds for my personal life,
Right, right. Separating the two.
separating the two. You
Yeah.
know, and I speak to business owners all the time, and that's the thing that a lot of them have the issue with is like
Mhm.
realizing that you are a human being and you are a person, but your business is like its
Yes.
own person, is a separate entity that you can't
Mhm.
like you if you're gonna pay yourself from that business, it can't be the full thing.
Yeah, I know. So that's definitely a issue. Because even I remember like running my mom running her salon and the cashier like, in and out opening and like, here, take $2 here, go buy egg roll. And I'm like, wait, from here? Right. And they don't understand that is like you're saying, like, you're like the business is its own situation and your personal is also something separate. That's something that I had to learn when I first ran the business, right? Because like for you to have a business, you have to give all your personal information.
Mhm.
So everything starts to like combine. But then I'm like, okay, at this point, I think I need an accountant because I need to learn how to separate like the two. And I'm glad that I was able to do that sooner than later because then you're able to establish better business practices as well as better personal practices because things are separate.
Mhm.
So the fact that, you're able to kind of like share that knowledge with other people, like I'm pretty sure they're like, wow, like that's amazing. Like an amazing tip, like not being able to kind of like just merge everything into one.
Yeah. And I'm happy that you touched upon that because that's another issue.
Yeah.
We gonna get through all of it, right? That's the other issue is that I think a lot of the times we like whether it's black owned business, Latino owned business, whatever it is, it's like people take pride in that term solopreneur. Like I'm a solopreneur. I do it all by
Mhm.
myself. But
Mhm.
that's why your business ain't moving the way it should be moving.
Yep.
It's because you do it all by
That
yourself.
Yeah. So when we were talking about like, yeah, you can't pay yourself the whole thing. That's something that I had to learn too, right? Because like after a while, it's like, yeah, you're a solo entrepreneur, but you can't run a business by yourself, right? It's not sustainable. So you start to learn, oh, I need a team. I can't do everything by myself. Okay, this is a business. I need to learn how to like work on the business and not in the business.
Mhm.
So if that means like, okay, out of this money that I'm making, this is my salary, this is how much is this. And since day one, even though my business hasn't, because when you're first starting out, you're in a loss. You're not making really money like that. So early on, I'm like, all right, like this is what I want my salary to be. And I'll put it on there and slowly like, okay, like perfect. Like now I'm able to budget knowing that this is where I want my salary to be. And even though I'm not there now I know how much work I need to put in to be able to pay myself a salary, right?
Mhm.
And then as you grow, being able to acquire a team because that's how you're able to scale and expand. And I think that that's something that's important because we like literally, I'm in therapy now, and I'm just like, I don't know how my mom did all of this by herself. Literally, like how she had a business, raising all these kids, plus cooking, plus this. And it's just like, in our culture, we learn that we have to do it all and all by ourselves, and that if you have help or you're lazy. Now I have a cleaning lady. Like, I'm like, I'd rather spend that 1 hour with my son than spend cleaning, scrubbing down on the bathroom. Like, I already did that for a whole bunch of years. Like,
Right.
like, so if I'm able to work smarter, like that's definitely something that I want to do because I want to be able to be there for my son, you know?
Yeah, nah, absolutely. I completely agree. I'm all for hiring help where you can because like your time is just infinitely more valuable than money. And um that's really what it's about is being able to buy back your own time. Why do
Mhm.
you think it is that so many Latinos like downplay themselves um in those corporate spaces?
I think that a lot of the reason why they might downplay themselves is because the reason why I left my first company, I felt like they weren't giving me the value that I know I deserve, which is how I knew like it's time for me to leave. And I feel like a lot of people have a hard time with realizing that like, okay, now it's time to move on.
Mhm.
Cause we're taught to be thankful and to be grateful, right? But
Mhm.
like if somebody's not treating you right, we also got to teach our kids to get up out of there. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people will say in a lot of situations that are not beneficial and are not good for themselves mentally, physically. So I feel like if we teach our kids early on about boundaries,
Mm,
learning how to value themselves, I feel like we'll be able to have people in corporate spaces speak up more. I feel like a lot of, even besides Latino, a lot of Black people too try to assimilate rather than kind of like set their own path, right? Because it's like, okay, it's predominantly white corporate America, and this is what they deem for it to be professional. So let me kind of it's easier to kind of like keep following that, right?
mhm.
They're kind of trying to stand out and be yourself because that's how you get called ratchet, or that's how you get called unprofessional or aggressive. But we also have to realize that corporate America and what professional was kind of like deemed out to be didn't include people like me and you.
Yeah.
So I actually like, it's funny because I see your hair and you have locks. Like I remember when I was interviewing and prepping candidates, we would be like, oh, like it would have to be a thing that we would have to be like, oh, like, yeah, they have locks, but it's neat. And I always found that weird. I'm like, why we have to disclose what their hair looks like?
Yeah.
Because I actually experienced hair discrimination in my first job,
Mm.
which made me really uncomfortable because in my first job is when I was transitioning to a natural hair and I didn't know what my natural hair felt like and how to do it. And so it wasn't like I was looking crazy, right? But like it wasn't professional to them because it was a fro. I had some braids, like people touching my braids,
Yeah.
asking me how long it takes for me to braid my hair, you know? So it's like learn how to be yourself unapologetically, create your own path, and be proud of where you come from. Like, yes, I am Afro-Latina and stuff like that, but being from the Bronx is like a constant battle. Like, yeah, I'm from the Bronx, Eve.
Yeah, yeah.
Always have to
That's
defend the
that's what they
pro.
don't be understanding. Like
So
that's
for
what
me,
like other states and cities, like okay, like you got Houston, you got wherever like when you from the Bronx, you constantly have to defend yourself against, or when you from Brooklyn, or when you from Harlem, like you
yeah,
can't. It's like you super, but especially when you from the Bronx, because they got
yeah.
mad stuff to say about the Bronx, and I feel you on that. Side note, your mom she does locks.
No, my mom doesn't. The
Uh,
she doesn't do
oh, okay,
locks. I wish.
you know what I mean, but um. But yo, it's so crazy that you say that because I feel you on that. Like I think a Afro Latino from the X should be like that should be like a golden ticket for
Right.
organizations. Like you
Mm-hmm.
got this person that could speak Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
that is super cultured, could speak to both black people and white people
Mm-hmm.
at a high level. Like, come
Mm-hmm.
on. Come on. I
They
know
missing out.
I like, come on, let's talk about it. Pay up. What are we
Literally.
what are we talking about? Pay up. You're not gonna find that nowhere else. You know what I'm saying? So
Literally.
it's like,
Mm-hmm.
so I feel you on that. I feel the same way about myself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like I feel
Mm-hmm.
you on that. Like I could speak multiple languages. You know, and I'm curious if you've ever experienced this because I just heard this term
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, damn, I didn't know that there was a term for that. Have you ever heard of the term from it was actually in my previous episode. Shout out Meryl DeBrose. She
Mm-hmm.
that's my homie. She told me she's said something along the lines of going from pet to threat. You ever heard of that?
Oh no, I haven't heard that. I haven't
So
heard of that.
so the term from pet to threat, it was dang, I feel bad because I'm not the phrase was coined by a black woman and she talks about specifically for black women,
Yeah.
and I'm Latino, but I consider myself black, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right. No,
you know
I
what I
feel
mean?
you.
I'm not one of those Dominicans, I'm not Dominican,
Oh no, black.
I know black, I Dominican, I'm black, I'm not one of them.
Yeah.
Right, but she said that from pet to threat is like when you start in an organization and they're okay with you when you are code switching and when you don't know yet, you don't know
Yeah.
how the organization runs yet. And then as you become more and more impressive within the organization, you go like managers might treat you different, people might treat you
Mhm.
different when you learn their language. You go from
Yeah.
pet to the threat. You
Mhm.
ever experienced that?
Yeah, so I feel like I experienced all of that. It's like very early on in my career. Right? I started off as a recruiter and then I saw first of all, I was like one of the top performers in the company. So that already speaks volumes, right? So I was trying to transition into like more of a sales role and I did the sales academy, right? And I was doing great with because they always say like, right, the next job that you want, you gotta do it from the seat that you're in, right? So I was doing that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, but where's my promotion? Like I'm seeing this person getting promoted, this person getting promoted, and I'm still outperforming all these people y'all promoting but me, right? So I had a meeting with my boss at the time, and I started to notice like weird stuff. Like he's talking about how his mother was from, I don't know, somewhere in Europe and came over and how she was an immigrant and how she would pronounce things. Like he was starting like I was starting to get feedback on like how I was pronouncing stuff. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, this is crazy. Like, I'm being professional and I'm speaking like, yeah, I have first of all, I'm Dominican and I have a New York accent. Like,
Yeah.
what's the problem? Like,
Yeah.
you go to Boston and you hear white people with like their accent and from
You're
where
breaking
they're
my
from.
heart. Like,
Yeah, and
yeah,
like,
like
what you
that.
mean? I'm pronouncing the words correctly. Yes, I have an accent, but I can't erase my accent. So, like, what are you saying? What does this feedback mean? Because if it's not about my performance, why are we having this conversation? So that
Hmm.
just kind of like blew my mind because now I'm just like, okay, you want me to be whitewashed, so then you could put me in front of other executives, but only if I'm whitewashed because the
Hmm.
way that I am right now is not good enough to be presented to people. That's crazy. That had happened to me. And then I saw myself in this difficult situation, not really for me, but something that one of my candidates had done in terms of like IT security. And I saw my boss talking down on me. And when I experienced that, I felt so bad because I wanted to cry, but I didn't because I'm like, oh, why he's talking to me like that? But that's my boss. But then I quickly then realized that he doesn't respect me.
Hmm.
Because if you respect me, you're not going to talk to me like that. And 2 weeks later, I got that offer from Google and I put in my notice and I
Hmm.
said, bye.
Yeah.
They're like, do you want to exit interview? I said, no, like, bye. Like,
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
It's so crazy that you say that because mm, I personally feel within my career, I've been underestimated
Yeah.
and I love it.
Yeah, because then you show out.
I love it because especially because like, yo, I used to be un bandelero. Like I was a beast. Washington Heights every weekend. I used to get
Mhm.
twisted. I was wilding. You know what I'm saying? I was a wild dude.
You was outside.
I was outside, right? But I'm 4 years sober. And
Yeah.
so
Congratulations.
thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
And so, and you know, when you're Dominican, like your relatives is like, oh, is there anything okay with you? But
Right, 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 right.
there's no such thing as alcoholism
Right,
in
right.
the Hispanic community, just so y'all know.
Yeah.
But one thing I realized is like I went from being the most foolish person in the room. Like, thank God, while any tech sales role I've had so far, I haven't been because in tech they have like these, they have mixers and it's
Yeah.
always an opportunity to drink.
Yeah.
Thing is, when you I always thought I was the life of the party. I still am
Yeah.
the life of the party, but sober this time,
Sober.
right? But I always thought I was the life of the party when I was twisted, and I always saw myself becoming very foolish. I'm like
Mhm.
I know that I know that I was obnoxious,
Yeah.
but now the roles reversed, and when I'm sober
Mhm.
at a lot of corporate events, I'm
Mhm.
able to see people's true character,
Right.
and it's like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
like, I feel you on that. I absolutely, and I mean, I guess it ultimately like not to make it seem as if people can't have a great time,
Mhm.
but I've seen managers slip up and tell me how they really feel about me while they was
Mm,
twisted.
that's crazy. I know that's happened. So it's funny that you're in tech sales. My fiance is in tech sales too. So it's more like of a startup feel. So they always have an opportunity to go out drinking, and
Mhm,
it's funny because it's been the same way. And where he will get comments like, first of all, he's more ambiguous, I would say,
mhm.
because he got waves, so he's more light skinned. So white people are both like, "What are you like? You know, you're like black, but you're not that black." So they're always
Yeah,
curious,
yeah,
like, "Where are you from?" Right?
yeah.
And he'll tell me that he'll get comments from managers like saying like, "Oh yeah, like we think that you're cocky," right? Like when now, oh wait, what happened? Like a salesperson is supposed to be confident, but when when I'm showing that I'm confident, I'm cocky, I'm
Mhm.
being aggressive, I'm being this, I'm being that, and I'm just like, people don't understand that. Then, like you're saying, you're showing your true colors, but like, what do you mean I'm being aggressive? What do you mean I'm being cocky? You know, because you know that you're not really being extra. This is how you are, but to them is a threat, right? It's like
Mhm.
that pet to threat. Now you're doing good. Oh, now you're a threat, right? So now we don't like you.
Yeah.
So it's always interesting being able to like navigate corporate America and like peep those things. And at the same time, though, something that I did want to touch upon is you want to find allies too, because as a Black Latina woman in corporate America, I feel like sometimes some of my biggest ops is people who look like me. They not, because
Talk
right,
about
it's like there can only be one person that looks like me, and that's me, not you,
it.
right? So in
Yeah.
my first job, right, I had a low key hater, and I was like, cool, I'm still outperforming you though, and that's why you probably hating.
Mhm.
But I would peep stuff like that, and I'm like, damn, like that's whack, because I feel like it would be better if we kind of like join together and uplift each other, not put each other down. Like I'm always the type of person. First of all, if I see you coming in for an interview and you look like me, I'm already be like, yo, like this, and that, and trying to put you on because you know the more the merrier.
Mhm.
So I found myself like having to like not having to be but having white allies in corporate America, and they have been the ones that have advocated for me
Mhm.
and brought my name up in the room when I'm not there, and through those experiences, I was able to kind of like get jobs. So I worked with this white guy at Google, right? And me and him was on the same team. And he referred me into Meta, and I got the job at Meta through him because he referred me, even though I had applied a whole bunch of times, had tried to like other people who look like me, connect with them and try to build that relationship to potentially help me navigate what it's like to work there and stuff like that. And just that's something that has been surprising to me, being able to see other people who don't look like me still be my ally. So even though, you know, like it's hard to navigate certain situations, not everybody is the same, and you do build certain allies within the space that you have to learn how to like take advantage of and see what it's good for in a way, you know, be authentic about it, of course, but like, you know, don't be disclosed to making relationships with other people.
Yeah. No, I feel you 100%. And I think, I mean, do you know what I think the whole idea of that pet to threat thing really is? I think when you come from a disfranchised community and you have to be different things to different people, the way you talk in your hood when you at the bodega, where you like the way you
Yeah.
talk to you know just the way you have to code switch
Yeah.
and know different languages and how to speak to people different ways. I think it becomes um something that people envy or get jealous of when you
Mm,
learn how to speak their language in their specific field, because it's like, oh, this person could speak to this person and that person and that person, but I can
mhm.
only speak to this select type of people. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no, that makes sense for sure. I remember when I was at my first job, like I had all the Dominican tech people coming to me. I'm like, yeah, tell your cousin, and I put them on. And
Yeah, yeah.
I literally had like the whole Mount Sinai tech team, like a whole bunch of Dominicans, because I'm like, trying to put my people on like
Yeah.
whenever I can, like, and through there, like I help one person and then it's like pay it forward, right?
Hmm.
I help you, you help the next person, and we're able to kind of like grow as a community. Cause at the end of the day, like, those are my people and and I'm able to connect and relate. So like, why not? Like, we want to create more diversity within the space. We want to create that change because that's the only way that change is going to happen. When they start to see more people like me and you in the room, they might feel uncomfortable, but it has to get done.
Listen, I've been a part of organizations where it's 100 and plus employees, and there's three people of color that work in the
Yeah.
organization, and I'm one of the three.
Yep.
So I know very much how it feels to be that. You know what I'm saying? Let's go back to Honey Beauty. What has been the biggest challenge in building it?
Yeah. So it's a lot about what we spoke about in terms of like, small businesses, right? For right now, like obviously, like I'm still a small business. I have a 9 to 5, so I have a job and then trying to build a business on the side, like is very difficult. And I have a son, a fiance. I wear a lot of multiple hats. So that for me personally is one of my biggest challenges, trying to like manage certain things because I got burned out, right? I was trying to give 100% to everything every day, but I noticed that that's not possible, right? So, like, sometimes I'm giving 100% to the business, or not 100%, let's say 80% to the business, 20% to my family, but sometimes I need to do 80% to my family and 20% to my business. So, just that middle ground definitely has been hard, especially in tech, right? Like, a lot of people with the years of experience that I have, a lot of people, their schedules are pretty much the same every day. With tech, we have so many up and downs, and it's just always busy.
Mhm.
Literally, it's always busy. So when you're working a 50, 60-hour work week to then have to try to find more time to invest into the business, I found myself like spreading thin and trying to do it all. But as I've been becoming more aware about my mental health, I actually like been focusing on my mental health because I realized like if I'm not there for myself, how can I be there for anybody else? And how can I, be the person who I want to be for my son and for anybody else, right? I have to focus on myself to be able to be there for them. So
Mhm.
trying to juggle it all has definitely been hard. On top of the fact that we're in this economy, right? Like people are not necessarily buying Black and Latino, like so that has been also like difficult trying to like gain that, I guess, gain that popularity within the community, right? Because it's all about like, if she's doing it, then I'm gonna do it. And like, you have a lot of these bigger brands who have a much bigger budget.
Mhm.
So that's definitely difficult, but it's just overall statistics that's known like that Black women, Black Latina women don't get as much funding and as much grants, which sucks because if we don't get that funding and those grants, like, how are we able to scale, right? Like, hire a team. And specifically within beauty, since that's where I have my business in, like Black and Latina women are top one consumers, but the executives of these brands are like white people. They don't look like me, right?
Mhm.
So we're making them richer, even though like we're the top one consumers. So there should be more Latin and more Black like beauty executives. And the fact that there's not, like, I definitely want to continue trying to like kick down that door and push forward because I think that right now we're definitely like building community, spreading the word, but I definitely want to create that change within beauty. And I feel like I have the experience, I have the corporate tech background, I have the knowledge, and I have the experience to be able to kind of try to make that change because I feel like there needs to be more people from our community in those spaces.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is because I see you at these events, at these Afro Latino events, and I'm like, dang, like y'all really putting on like that. But Afro Latinas on LinkedIn, like that's the one thing that I'm seeing from y'all that I'm actually really really liking because, like, if you look at the and LinkedIn hasn't released, I tried to find it. LinkedIn LinkedIn won't release the statistics, the exact
Mhm.
numbers, but the biggest creators on LinkedIn
Mhm.
specifically are Caucasian men, Caucasian women, and then
Mhm.
the next group is Black women, and they dominate the space. And the way that they support each other is crazy.
Yeah.
Then it appears as if there are is like a huge drop off. It
Mhm.
appears as if there's a few Black men creators, but
Mhm.
there's not. You don't see them with like 200,000 followers the way you see it with women.
Man,
And so
yeah.
it's the Eastern Conference Finals, baby. I'm coming for the title. Like it's
Yeah.
anybody's game. Like I'm finna have a. I'm about to be the first Afro Latino with 1 million followers on LinkedIn. Y'all better check it. Y'all better,
Clock
you
it.
know what I mean? Yeah, right. So and it's the same for like Afro Latino specifically, like Afro Latinas specifically, because I see a lot of like Latina creators, but they're not Afro Latinas, and
Mhm.
they got 200,000 followers, and they got like, and so it's like it's really wide open. Like
Mhm.
it's really wide open. Like there's not that many people who post regularly on LinkedIn, and I think me personally, I would like that's why I'm going full force. I'd be deleting Instagram and TikTok and all that off my phone
Mhm.
because if you could dominate the LinkedIn space, you could make any business work. Any
Yeah,
business.
literally.
Saying?
Yeah, no, it was great that you it's like me, like you saw an opportunity and you went for it because you noticed that there's a lack of representation in that space. And I'm like, wait, I could fill up that space, so why not? Because
Exactly.
that's the same way I felt when I was thinking about Honey Beauty. I'm like, wait, like you see a lot of a lot of black hair care brands, right? But then you see a lot of Latina brands, but none. It was interesting for me because I'm like, okay, like yeah, I could relate and connect more with the type of hair on the black hair care brands content. But when it comes to the culture, I could kind of relate more to the Latino brands. But I wouldn't say that there was like a mesh of the both, right?
Mhm.
Because it's like, okay, like in the Latina beauty brands, you wasn't really seeing females who looked like me. You wasn't really seeing a lot of like, coarser hair, darker skin Latinas. It was a lot of white passing with the soft curls. So I'm just like, I don't know if your products work for me, right? And
Mhm.
then I would go to the black hair care brands and I'm like, okay, yeah, she's doing her hair, my hair look like that. But then there was that disconnect in terms of like, the culture and how they grew up. Like, I didn't necessarily grow up with hot cones and stuff like that. That wasn't necessarily something that was in Dominican culture. So for me, it was just always interesting being able to see both spaces and how Honey Beauty has been able to like come in. And I feel like that's why, like, when I'm in like conferences and stuff like that, people are always just like, they always see something special in me, right? Because it's like, oh, wait, she's different. Like, you black, but you speak Spanish? They
Mhm.
always like intrigued and want to learn more. So I'm like, yeah, I'll tell you like this and that. You know? So for me, it's always exciting being able to kind of just share my story. Because from New York, a lot of people get it, right? But outside of New York, people don't necessarily get it. So for me to be able to be there and explain that and share my story, and they're just like, oh wow, like that's so interesting. Like, oh, okay, like I get it. And so many people from my community like get it too, and they understand it. And I feel like they want to see the representation in the beauty shows, but the funding is not there. So that's definitely a huge challenge for a lot of like smaller black and Latino owned businesses.
Yeah, it's so crazy that you say that because like I feel like it's not just beauty, but but specifically I see it in beauty. Like
Hmm.
my fiance, she's been connected to a whole bunch of different creators and people who like she has a friend who she has her own line with Cantu. So like
Oh,
you know what I'm
nice.
saying? Like she be like
Mhm.
that's what she uses for my locks. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
my
yeah.
she'll be doing my hair. And but the thing is, specifically with beauty, is almost like it seems like it's incredibly difficult to
Hmm.
make like a Latino hair care line that's
Hmm.
mainstream. And it's not just with beauty.
Hmm.
It's with CPG too,
Yeah.
like food products, because you have Goya, but you also have like Goya's the rare exception. Most other Latino food brands you're
Hmm.
gonna find in the grocery section under international.
Right.
You understand what I mean? So it's
Hmm.
like when you come in with a product that's a predominantly Latino product, you really
Mhm.
gotta have your foot on their necks.
Yeah.
For sure.
So it's interesting that you say that because you're talking about Goya, right? And and this is like back to my point in terms of like white people will create products, advertise and for black and brown people, right? Like Goya, right? For Latino people. But I'm pretty sure that is not a Latino owned business. Like the person that owns Goya probably doesn't look like me and you. So that's a huge thing too, because a lot of the products that are targeted for us are not made by us.
Mhm.
And then that's when we start to see a lot of things like ingredients that cause cancer, ingredients that dry our scalp, that is making our hair like, lose, like experience hair loss and stuff like that. So I feel like, that this is a great platform just to be able to kind of like highlight people and empower other smaller creators, black and brown creators, just because we need that within our community, like, just being able to amplify each other and kind of just spread the word, because we need more like businesses that are owned by people like me and you, because why not, right? We need
Exactly.
to give back to our community. It was something that I had learned. I forget where it was, but basically about how you spend $1 like within the American community and it stays in there for super long, like months, right?
Mhm.
And then you spend $1 and you put it back in a black in business, but it doesn't stay within black businesses for long.
Yeah.
So
It
being
doesn't.
able to kind of create our own economy, right? Like once we figure out the power and how to do that again and being able to support our brands, I feel like then that's when we're going to start to see even more successful entrepreneurs within our space. Being able to support each other, buy from each other, like keeping it in within the community. Like that's something that we definitely got to learn how to master, and hopefully it'll get better through the years.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I love it. Um, so what is next for you?
Yeah, so right now for me, like I said, like I definitely been focusing on my mental health and trying to be there for myself. And I feel like I've been doing that. So that has been amazing because it has also given me the opportunities to kind of just reflect on the business and on my professional level. When it comes like professionally right now, um, I kind of just want to stay within the same space because I learned that not all money is good money. So I don't know if I want to get a promotion, but if it's there, I'll take it, right? I'm happy where I'm at professionally. And when it comes to the business, I'm doing like a lot of behind the scenes because I'm still like on my own. So I'm still doing like a lot of behind the scenes to keep the brand alive and keep it pushing. So I have a lot of exciting things. So definitely like follow us on Instagram is Honey Beauty NYC, or you could subscribe to our newsletter. Within the next couple months, I should be having like a lot of like exciting updates. So I'm looking forward to that.
Genesis, thank you for pulling up to the virtual cafe and dropping gems today. From being the Bronx to big tech to building beauty brands, you've shown us what it looks like to carry your roots with pride and turn them into power. Conversations like this remind us that representation isn't just about being in the room, it's about showing up as yourself once you get there. Until next time, stay blessed and highly caffeinated.